this out in the open is the subject of Gloomy Days. And I thought about this because I started actually piecing this video together yesterday, because yesterday was, for lack of a better definition, it was a gloomy day. It was overcast, it was rainy, it was cold. I could probably keep going, but just think of any other bad thing that you could put on a day that's not really great for being outside. That was yesterday. And it was also a weekend. And it just, got me thinking about how we tend to typically feel on days like that, and what that can do to us. I live in the Midwest for one, so I think it's easy to get bummed out when it's like that, because you want it to be sunny and you want it to be in a condition that you can actually go outside. But more than that, I think the weather itself has just this way of just kind of taking your motivation to do anything really meaningful and just make it go down, just completely collapse it into oblivion or into a comfortable couch where you will take a nap because you can't think of anything better to do. I think that's a common thing. And I don't know, just when I was thinking about it, I felt like I fall under that camp sometimes. I've definitely had several gloomy days over my lifetime where I could probably be doing something productive. I could do a lot of things, and I choose not to do it, or I let the environment, the circumstance of the day, the weather of the day make me not do that, and then I don't do it. But thankfully, I think just through enough trial, error, experience, whatever you want to call it, I think I have been able to rise above that, dare I say. Sorry, the cat just went through a door back there. It's distracting me. Yeah, I think I've been able to overcome a lot of that stuff, and I just thought I should share what I do when a day outside is not really being cooperative, and like, what do you do to try to get around that or overcome it? Especially like if you don't have somebody around to kind of keep you in check or keep you busy for that. And what I mean by that is, like, it's easier, I think, if you don't live alone. Like if you're married, you have a partner, maybe you have some kids, good friends that live nearby, I don't know. Someone that's essentially going to be checking in on you and making you move around, right? But if you are by yourself, it's certainly not as easy to do that. And even for like this, like making this video, even like making a video like this right now is something that takes motivation. It takes some desire, it takes some doing, and frankly, it can be a lonely process sometimes doing this type of stuff. I'd be lying if I said I never had burnout or just frustration or just not even just desire, just not like lacking desire to be like, does it actually even matter making this today? Like, who cares? Especially like when this whole thing is starting out, like what am I lucky? Like, I'm probably watching it, 3 people are watching it. I mean, could be more than that, but that's where my head goes sometimes when I start to do this type of stuff, because it takes a lot, and you have to put yourself out there, you have to be on, I think. But that's actually something I'm trying to do a lot in this project, and over the course of it, is just be more true to myself and hopefully inspire some other people to do the same, because I think it's just really easy to get performative when people see the camera rolling or know that they're doing something with an intent. Like, it just doesn't feel sometimes as organic as it could be. But trying to break the mold on that, break the cycle. They say doing things the same way over and over again is the definition of insanity. I don't think I'm that crazy. Maybe in some respects, but in this respect, I got to try to do something different. So that's why I'm doing this. But anyways, let's get to the point, right? This is a funnel for some reason. But yeah, I think just like gloomy days can make it tough, especially to even get up the stamina or the urge to do this. But I know one way that I get about doing that is through this guy right here. I'm not going to show you what's on the other side of it, but it is my daily to-do list. And that's something that I started doing back in, I think it was 2017. I would just go ahead, and when I would get to work in the mornings, I would go ahead and write out what I needed to do that day. Try to actually separate it into two columns. I do personal and work, and I would just put like on the personal side, you have your things like groceries and vacuum, laundry, all that stuff, or workout. That's something that helped me just by writing that down every day. Just forced me to get into the mindset that it's not an option, that I have to do it. So there's a little tip for you fitness people out there. Write it down, and eventually, if you do that enough times, it'll probably help, or at the very least, you'll just get annoyed that you keep writing it and ignoring it, and then you get mad at yourself. So at least that's something that's worked for me. Yeah, the to-do list. So it just kind of started as something to try to help me stay a little more productive at work, but then I quickly realized by doing it, it allowed me to actually just have more satisfaction with the completion of things. If I didn't have enough or not if I didn't have enough, but if I had too much on the list, it would make me go ahead and be like, okay, this has got to be like continued tomorrow or next week, and then the whole thing just kind of evolves from there. But it all just starts with a thing of paper. And you can do it on just about anything. I do it on actual physical paper, but then I also use the computer to do the to-do list. I use Excel, Google Docs, just the Notepad app on the computer, which is just quite literally the digital version of this. The point is that there's more than one way to go about getting that done, so it's really not that difficult to do. But that's what I did yesterday. I did the to-do list. I forced myself to work out. I didn't really want to, especially because right now I'm training for a marathon. And yesterday I was supposed to do my longer run, which right now was 7 miles. And I unfortunately had to do that all inside because the weather was, as I mentioned, not great. Could I have done it outside? Sure. That's entirely possible, but I'm not really like one of those like hardcore rain, sunshine or snow, whatever the expression is, I will do it no matter what. No, like if the weather's fairly craptastic out, I will just force myself to do it inside, which I can consider that to be another form of training because it's really not ideal to run distance on a treadmill or elliptical, whatever you call it. But sometimes with training, the harder something is, the more rewarding it is at the end of it. And if you can kind of make it through the suck, that is running in place on a platform for a long time, then when you get outside, it seems like it's just way better. So sometimes that can be a useful thing. I've had days like yesterday where I would just like sleep in too much, or I wouldn't get out the to-do list. I would just maybe eat too much bad food, or sometimes feel some self-pity, things like that. Especially because on a day like yesterday, the phone's not ringing off the hook to have people try to see you and things like that. So it's easy to kind of get down in the dumps and get down on yourself, but I don't know. I use the to-do list. I forced myself to go to the gym, and the day was a Sunday, and I have to say too, I'm really happy about this, but I found the day to be peaceful. It's the word that comes to mind because I've had this problem for a while where when I get like any semblance of free time, especially like on the weekends, or at least me, I tend to sometimes want to overstuff it. Make as much of the time as possible. And this is something that I could explain probably in a different video, but I felt like I had years at one point in my life where I sort of squandered my time or didn't really do enough with it. And in an effort to not do that, I think I had overcorrected it at one point, but then it started to become worse than actually helpful, which is why I say overcorrect, because I would have these times where on the weekend I would just try to stuff in so much, and then I'd get disappointed one day after the next on these weekends because I would stuff in too much and then I wouldn't be able to do it all. And then I'm like, oh, you're either not smart enough to do it all, or you're bad at organization, or something like that. And so then like I would just set myself up for failure with that, and that's no good. But on this Sunday that I'm talking about, it just didn't happen. I mean, I just kind of accepted the day as being a gloomy one, and that I felt was helpful. Like I didn't try to overly pep it up. I didn't try to overly correct and do a bajillion things to try to distract myself from the weather. I just accepted that. I was like, hey, this day is gonna be what it is, and it's not really gonna be the most inspirational thing in the world if I take a look outside, but it's okay. It's okay not to have a million things to do. Allow yourself some peace. Hell, even listen to some kind of, not sad music, but like when it gets really not great out with the weather, I don't have a playlist for this quite yet, but I do have music I listen to. It's just kind of like chill, or not even calming music, but just like melancholic music, I guess, if you will. So I was listening to that, and I ran some errands, and I actually did one thing, and I'd actually recommend this for anybody that kind of gets stuck on this, where it's like you have a gloomy day and or you don't have enough to do, or you're struggling to figure out something to do. This is something that you can do, at least for me. One thing that I love to do when it's crappy out, or just if I'm having a bad day, there's really multiple applications for this, but I like to go look for movies. That is something that it's hard to actually put into words how much enjoyment I get out of that, but I don't know, there's something about it that's helpful to me. So I went to my favorite place to shop for movies here in where I'm from, in Cedar Rapids, Half Price Books and Records. They're, I guess, technically in Marion, but it's borderline on Cedar Rapids. It doesn't matter. It's within my area, and it's one of my happy places. It was just great to go because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go browse the movies like I always do, see if I can find any finds, things to add to my collection over here, which eventually perhaps I'll show that to you one day. But I don't know, like there's just something about going into a place like that, and you're not really going in with an expectation, but it's just great, not even fun, it's just, I don't know, it's just really enjoyable to go and actually hold a lot of these items physically, and it doesn't even have to be movies. I mean, it can be books and some of the other stuff that place has, but for me it is definitely movies, because I am a physical media advocate and collector. That's definitely something I can almost promise you that a video or multiple videos down the road will speak to, is physical media and how much I appreciate it. It was certainly a subject that I touched on in the podcast I had, Screen Speak, when it was running. But yeah, it felt so good. It feels good every time to just go in there, browse, read the backs of titles, look for things that I don't have, maybe even get some ideas for certain movies that I want to watch and kind of add them to my backlog. I can't speak to it enough. So if you're ever having a day where it's just gloomy and you can't think of anything else to do, go to Half Price. Go take a look at their movies. Go take a look at their stuff. Or if you have no interest in movies, or yeah, you don't even have to have an interest. You can find your own Half Price. It could be, I don't know, you like to cook. So maybe go to a store, grocery store, and get yourself inspired with ingredients. Perhaps you do like books. You can go to the bookstore, look at books. Clothing, go to a clothing store, take a look at different outfits, try stuff on. I could keep going, but I think you get the point. There's really something to that. So I think just doing that yesterday, taking my time with it, working out, I did stuff around the house. It made for actually one of the better Sundays I've had in a long time. And yeah, I wanted to share that because I know that it's easy to let those types of days bother you and let it just kind of leave you feeling defeated or not motivated. But I think that's the last point to make on this is like if I can find a way to feel like I had a fulfilling day and overcome the mood and gloom of a day like yesterday, then just about anybody can do it. And I think that that's encouraging. I think for these gloomy days when you have it, I think it's our natural instinct as people to try to distract from it, right? To like be like, okay, well, I have to do this or that, or I have to put myself inside. I can't look outside because it's just going to bother me too much. I don't know. I don't think you should do that, but I think sometimes it's like just accept it. Be accepting of the fact that, yeah, it's kind of crappy out. It's not nice. Maybe you could listen to some melancholic, sad music and just kind of sit with that mood for a while, sit with the feeling, see what comes up. Write about it. That's actually something I need to, note to self, Jordan, is you need to journal more. I have journals. I've done it sporadically, but I don't do it as often as I could. So that's certainly something to try to think about. I hope that me sitting around giving some thoughts on the subject of gloomy days and some of the other little things I peppered into this video were helpful to you. I might actually change the location of where I do these things from time to time. It's kind of fun, I think, on this. I don't always know where I'm going to record this at, but the setup for this is pretty minimal, so I can really kind of take this anywhere. So I don't know. We'll see where else this goes, but I do appreciate everybody very much out there for taking the time to listen to this or watch this. And yeah, just take care of yourself. Thank you again for this, and just come back next time. Just come back the next time I post something. All right. Take care, everybody. Goodbye. Oh. Holy crap. See what, sorry, blooper here. My leg is asleep, so, oh my gosh. I don't know if a doctor's probably not going to advise that. Don't shake the hell out of your leg, but I gotta get the, Jesus, gotta get the blood flow back.